Oh, it says live.
Hello there, Maya. Hi, can you hear me?
I can. Hi, Sherry.
Hi, I know that we have Amy out here so generously to let us know if she can see the video and hear the audio. We were having all those technical problems yesterday. Amy, can you let us know by comment if you're able to hear us and see us? And in the meantime, hello, if anybody else is out there, hello,
I want to make
hello.
sure she's.
I love the in the momentness of this technology because it's like you just don't know what's happening. But I can see you, Maya, and that's a start, a lovely start. So I'm not seeing any comments from Amy, but that doesn't mean anything because also sometimes the commenting hasn't worked on here for me. So
She just came in the back room and said it's working.
awesome. Thank you, Amy. Great. So hi, Maya. Hello, hello.
Hi, Sherry.
I am so glad that you agreed to meet with me here because, as you know, because I've been talking to you all week long, I have really been really struggling to stay out of the darkness and the melancholy of everything that has been going on. I feel like things feel a little crazy and sad right now.
Yeah.
How are you?
Hold on one second. Okay. Sorry. I
That's
just was
okay.
hearing echoes in the back. Yes, that is certainly true. It feels like every day we're getting. I don't know if it's different. It just
Whoops, you're
feels like
freezing on me,
20
Maya.
minutes ago. Oh,
Can you repeat what you just said? Unfortunately, you just froze on us.
okay. Yeah, found myself, sort of stealing myself every day or every hour for more news. I mean, just 20 minutes ago, there was news about an attack.
I did, and sadly, you're freezing on us again. So I'm missing. What I heard you say was there was news of another attack just 20 minutes ago.
Yes, in Finland, a knife attack.
I know, like so. Just in the short time, I mean, we talked about doing this Facebook Live because of the events in Charlottesville and everything that came after that, and then it just feels. You're right. It feels like we do have to steel ourselves, and I think for me, and the reason that I so much wanted to bring you on is that there was that poem that you posted on Tuesday that felt to me like it gave me a place to go to help frame some of this. And maybe should I now?
Yeah, go ahead. I don't have
I
it in
just
front of me, so go ahead.
I was just going to say, so just so people know, I had obviously asked Maya to read the poem, but just as a little twist, or I'm not sure why, but she said I could go ahead and read it, which is a deep honor, Maya. Thank you. I hope I do it justice.
Well, it helps me listen also.
Oh, good. Okay. You're freezing a little bit, but you know what? It's coming back, which I think is the main thing.
Okay.
Okay. The poem by Maya Stein is called Remembering Charlottesville. Not the way I saw it in a photograph from yesterday's paper. The fists of in smoke-filled streets, too far away, impotent in riot gear and indecision. Instead, it is the kitchen on South Bath Avenue In nearby Waynesboro, I tumble back to the one my parents made our Sabbath dinner in, and the one from which we emerged to drive to a synagogue 30 minutes away. How, despite the strangeness of our new southern home, who couldn't pronounce my sister's name, the church bells pealing on the hour. There was a place for us in Charlottesville, a sanctuary filled with prayer and blessings, knitting us together. What I want to remember is how close we sat in the pews, humbled by so much welcome, our hands loose and open at our sides, almost touching. Oh, Maya, I don't know how that was for you to hear it, but for me, the place of openness and welcome, and what I read between the lines, this sort of shared humanity, is what really gripped me about this poem.
Well, I mean, hearing it often happens when back to me, it really hits. It just really hits me how precious that is, and how easy it is to take for granted the friendliness and familiarity and the ways in which we can feel such intimacy with people every day, and how precious that is feeling right now. And it should, and it shouldn't be precious.
I just want to say we're losing
precious because it is precious, but
we're losing you a little bit again, and I'm
that we.
Sorry.
Okay.
Can you just repeat that? You're coming in like really well and then going out again. So we'll just do the best we can. But I'm like, what is she saying? So yeah, can you just repeat that?
When I'm hearing that poem now, it makes me think about how precious it is to be in close contact with people and to feel easy about that, and how it should and shouldn't be precious. It is precious. It is important. But it feels the fear that now people have of being in close contact.
Yes. I was able, you're really digitized, but I was able to hear you in between that, right? That it's precious to be in that close contact with people, and it should and shouldn't be precious. And the last part that I heard was about the fear of being in close contact. And I just want to say at this point too, that for whatever reason, I'm not able to see any of the comments, and I apologize if people are commenting live, and I so wanted to be able to have that happening right now, to be able to, I had to say about this, and for some reason they're not coming like they're supposed to. So it is Mercury in retrograde, and we'll just do the best we can, huh? So yeah, I totally agree with you that I think, at least, what I'm projecting from so much of what I'm seeing in the news and from different posts online and things is that fear, that it's like where once I think we were more in this place of like, we're all in this together. Right now I'm feeling that fear and that sort of, are you different than me? And if you're different than me, I'm scared.
Right. And are you dangerous? Yeah. Are you dangerous?
And are you dangerous? Yeah.
Or who is dangerous? Or who is dangerous?
And where is dangerous? Like suddenly it's our backyards. It's like you were saying. I mean, we steel ourselves against the news because it feels near constant. And some ways, maybe this isn't any different because there have been, you know, lots of violence and lots of this going on all over the world for many years, but for some reason it does feel heightened. And maybe it's because it's really in our own backyard here in the US.
And it's daily, it's constant. And we have this news cycle reminding us of that.
Yes, yes.
And it's we have to be able to recover from one thing. One of the difficulties is the onslaught, the continuous news, the continuous events, and we don't have time to recover and reflect about each one. And we're losing, that makes us lose something. We either become inured to the violence and the shock, or it's so, it's adding up.
Yes.
So it's breaking something inside.
Yes. Thank you for saying that. I think that is part of it. That I didn't even realize that you said it, but that sense of like what happened for me is I was really feeling it on Tuesday after all the events of the weekend. And then your poem came in and that felt like a place for me to land as far as like, I want to stay in love. I want to stay in connection. I want to stay in this welcoming place that you spoke about. And then more stuff. And it feels like this tumble of, like it's happening so quickly. And yeah. So I just wanted to say that's why, again, like for me, I so wanted to just open up this space. And again, I'm so disappointed that comments, because I would love to see how other people are feeling and to be in conversation, but we can always respond afterwards if people are commenting.
Right. So maybe the question that you had, or the invitation that you had at the beginning, which is sort of, how do we metabolize this news? How do we orient ourselves around it, and also not, stay engaged, but also stay healthy, stay caring for ourselves.
Yes, and that's exactly, yes.
It can feel selfish, I think, because there's so much to do right now, so much to react to. So I think we just have to be incredibly intentional and patient at a time when there's wild unintentionality and impatience going on.
Yes. Is it okay if I share a little bit about our, actually your laundry room analogy that came up the other day?
Sure.
Because I think that's fitting in right here, is that that place where I sent a sort of an email out, or a voice note out, saying to my having a hard time. And when you wrote back, you were downstairs in the basement doing the laundry. And it became this metaphor for really going deep, at least to me, you can tell me, but to me, it went to this place of going deep down and taking care of ourselves in the way we need to before we go out in the world to respond, to really get things in order first. That's where it took me.
Yeah. And, I do think about sort of the foundation of a house, and we have to, we have to carry ourselves through the world, upright, and we need to be able to be flexible. And if is fractured, it's going to have repercussive effects in how we deal with the stress outside of us. I think that so much of the violence and fury that's happening, as I said to you, in an outward expressly inward fracture and breakage and sadness and fury. And I think we can be susceptible to the same thing if we don't take care of our inner goodness. We will express that out in the world.
Wow. You know, unfortunately, you were saying something really important, and you're breaking up a lot. I'm going to try because I think this is similar to what you said the other day, and it's such an important place. So let me reflect it back, and if I don't have it right, try and fix it. But you're breaking up so much, unfortunately. But what you were saying, and this is a place that I really heard you the other day when you said this to me, is that there's places within us that are fractured, and if we're not careful, if we're not taking the time to offer that love and compassion and care to take care of the places within us where there's fractured, then there's the possibility we're just going to take it out into the world. And that could be a lot of what's happening right now, is that inner fractures being reflected in the outer world. Is that what?
Yes. Yes. I mean, somewhere along the line that something broke. And I can't pretend to understand the sort of extremism that we're seeing. I don't understand it, but it's to me, it's a magnification of something terribly broken.
Yes. Yes. I was talking to a fellow poet of yours, Alison Luterman, the other day, and she was talking about how fascinating it is that this eclipse is happening, you know, this huge shadow. Mm-hmm. And that, you know, being a poet, of course, it was so beautiful and so, you know, so fitting. But I think it is interesting that it feels like there's the light and then there's the shadow. And we're right in it in so many ways. And I mean, to me, like when your poem came in, that was the light. And that was like a path to healing some of that fracture, which is that place of, where do I want to turn my attention? Do I want to keep my attention on these news feeds and the fear and the anger? Do I want to turn my attention to what feels like a path of connection and really turning, you know, what needs healed inside of me and possibly offer that feels healing?
Well, and I think it's important to connect where we can reparation, how we do to repair our world. It could be very local. It could be something within our own family. And it builds from there. We have the capacity to repair, to make reparations. So if we start too big, then it's overwhelming. So how can we do, you know, how can we stage our engagement and our participation in responsible ways and effective ways?
Yes, I love that. And it's, you know, it's reminding me, I've been posting a little bit about this, and you know this, that it's like I do this birthday project where I invite people from my Simply Celebrate community to let me know if someone they know is grieving or lost, having a hard time, and I send anonymous letters to strangers. I'm so grateful that I have this time, because to me, one letter a day that I'm able to send to someone who I don't know where they fall on the political spectrum. I don't know what color they are. I don't know anything about their beliefs. All I know is that they're a human being who's suffering. And I can offer this little bit of light. And to me, I think that speaks to what you're saying of like something I can do, something I can offer that's within my realm, like you're saying.
Yeah, and you'll never know the effect that that has. These are not big moves. They're small moves. They're doable, but they have enormous structural impact
Mm.
on a person, on a family, on a community, on a people. And that is, I think, where our attention needs to be, on the structural integrity of these relationships. Because the wild swings of violence and hate, those are happening out in the branches and the canopy. But let's engage the roots.
Wow. Maya, that I just saw something when you were saying that was so, that on that big canopy, it can be so overwhelming that I feel, I don't know if other people, but that the sense of, what's the point? I can't do anything about this.
Right.
And so what you're saying to me makes so much sense. It's about where we can bring it down so that we don't feel so overwhelmed. We don't feel so, as your poem said, even the impotence of it, but instead that that offering of whatever it is we can offer, in our world.
Exactly. And again, it may not be visible to anybody. We can't rely and focus on visibility in terms of proving our participation or legitimizing our actions. It may not be visible.
Wow. I'm going to just sit with that for a minute, because that is huge. I think that's really huge what you're saying, that it may not be visible, and that there's, at least in my world, there's sort of a calling to let's all shout together. And I know in my own world, I felt really confused about that. Like, I don't want to shout. I don't want to throw any stones at anyone in any direction, whether someone's right or wrong. It's not for me. And so I'm so appreciative of what you just said.
Thank you. I think that the question I always have is, what do I want to contribute my energy to? And that can be very quiet. That can be a poem a week, or I pick up some trash, or I look somebody in the eye. What do I want to contribute? What energy do I want to contribute?
Yes.
It's very personal. The answer is very personal, and no one can judge your contribution.
Yes. And, I'm reminded, my Zen teacher, Sherry Huber, has a phrase she uses, which is, we can be a social relief. Those of us who are practicing living in love and compassion, we're not contributing to, instead, there is a way in which simply quietly offering places of love or care or concern or compassion. I just love what you said, that we don't know the importance of that. I mean, maybe we do. Actually, well, I know in my own life, right, how it transforms me. So I do know that.
Well, I think we have to think about it as an ecosystem of responsibility, an ecosystem of participation and action.
Yeah.
And so you have the elephants, and you have the ants, and you have the moss, and you have the oaks, and you have the mountains, you have the rivers, you have all these different but collaborative energies participating in ways that we can't understand or assign numerical value to, or justify in a, like, oh, this is doing this. But the collaborative contribution of those things adds up and becomes meaningful. And therefore each small engagement and participation in that contribution is meaningful.
Oh, Maya.
is necessary.
Yes, I love that. And what I love so much is when you said the elephant and the ant, and it's true. Like, some people, what they're inspired in that elephant or, whatever, but that none is more important than the other.
Right. Some of them are more visible.
Some of them are more visible. Yes. And I just want to say again, in case anyone's watching, which I don't even know, but in case anyone's watching live and commenting, unfortunately, we aren't able to see the comments, and I'm so sad about that. But Maya and I can visit the page later in case people are watching later and commenting, or because I love this conversation, and I'd really love to hear what other people think about it.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, and I want to return because it was your poem that kind of prompted us to be live right now. And I just would love to ask you a little bit back to your poem. Did you intentionally think I want to offer something, or was it just sort of something that came through you? How did that poem come to be this week?
It's very much what we're talking about in terms of, I guess I look for the things that are not obvious, the subtler, emotional components of a situation like Charlottesville, where it would be easy and certainly justifiable to be angry and sad. It's an easy target for a lot of vehemence of emotion. But when I thought about it, I have another connection to Charlottesville that's really sweet. That's a really beautiful, formative, memory for me. And it was kind of this, and it also symbolized this collision of culture. And, we were Jews living in a not particularly Jewish part of the country.
Right.
And yet there was a place for us and a home for our beliefs and our practices. And to me, that's what that city represents. And so I think that's the flip side of that's the inverse of what happened. But to me, that's the place I want to, it's not the place it's necessarily where I want my attention to be, but I don't want to forget that, because that's the foundational image and a foundational moment of time that feels really important to connect. And again, it's the roots. I was 7 and 8 years old when we lived there. And so it's that experience of being a stranger in a place that could have been hostile is formative. That's a touchstone.
Yes. Sorry, I was just laughing. I was hearing some noises in the background where you were, but yes.
Yeah, Amy came in.
Hi, Amy. But yes, like what you said about being a stranger in a land that could possibly have been hostile, but was. That there's so I usually avoid the word hope for some reason, but it's but there's a sense of possibility and a place that we all know exists. And I think maybe that's a piece of what's going on right now. We all know, I hope, that place in our lives where see people welcoming one another, no matter what their differences are. And there's something about that. There's something about it for me feeling like a touchstone.
Well, it's interesting because I think, probably a very human desire is a sense of belonging, a sense of community. So maybe people have different ideas of what that looks like. I mean, I think maybe this is the problem. The belonging that people want is it can metastasize in these directions of violence and subjugation and hatred. But the core desire is, I want to belong. I want to be a part of something. So that's maybe also a place of like, how can I talk to this person because they want something that I can relate to? The expression of it is completely different, but the core desire of it is familiar. It's relatable.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes, 1,000 times over. And when you,
but that's,
go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, when you said that I think that sense of belonging is core to most of us, if not all of us. The other thing that dropped in for me at that moment was also safety. And I think that there's a connection. I think it's the same process that you're talking about, is that on safety, but it gets expressed, it is where...
That's right. That's the problem, yes. Where we're here, but then some of us go here and some of us go here. And how do we... But we have to see that part in each other somehow.
Yes. Oh.
We have to past the canopy, past the visible, past the obvious. What is at the root of the desire? It's, I want to belong. I want to participate. I want a community. But the outward thing that we see is, oh God, I can't. That's other. That's dangerous.
Yes. I just remember when you were saying that, my friend Suki has this beautiful expression she goes to, which is like wanting to be able to get heartache, wanting to get to where that other person really lives. And I think that that's speaking to this. You have to get beyond, like you're saying, that sort of what's on the surface, and really to be able to see, like, that person's heartache is likely very similar to my own. We're all humans.
Right. I think the challenge is this is a conversation. Everybody has to be willing to have the conversation. So you can say, I see this pain in you. I recognize this pain in you. But if that person doesn't want to talk about it or doesn't want to talk to you about it, what do we do with that? But my answer is again, step by step. So maybe it's not that person who's willing, but maybe it's your neighbor. Maybe it's the person you avoid on the street all the time. Maybe it's, the panhandler. Maybe, I don't know who it is. It's just, It doesn't always, the enemy doesn't always look like the enemy.
Right.
So,
I mean, right. And I think,
you know what I mean?
I think we're talking about doing the laundry in the basement, that it's like, there's people in our own family I need to begin that process with. There's places where that's
probably harder.
Right. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of tenderness and brokenness and charge in our families that we would rather yell at a stranger and tweet, obscenities to the president than talk to our own relative about their racism.
Woo!
Or, it's like we're willing to just cast the stones to strangers, but we, maybe this is the work is part of the work is, if we're willing to do that, we better be willing to do this other stuff that's closer to the bone of where we are and who we're surrounded by. Because if we can't do that, we cannot heal what's out there. I mean, I just don't believe that. because
I know.
those people will be here all the time. Even once they're gone, they'll be there.
Wow, that is so powerful. And it reminds me of what happens with road rage. You know, that they're in a car, there's like this anonymity about this other person. And so, it's possible to just like let all that anger out. But
Yeah.
There's a consciousness that we can bring to that. Like, what is really going on here? You know?
Right. Who are we really angry at?
Who
What
are we
really
really?
sad?
Right.
What are we really grieving?
And I want to say at this moment, because I know we need to wrap up pretty soon, but I think that I just want to speak for a moment about poets and about the work that you do. Because when you just said that, what I thought is poetry often, and especially your poetry, I feel like, opens up the space for us to feel those things that we might not want to feel, to allow ourselves to have permission for the whole range of human experiences, and to start to look at it in a way. That's a really valuable job that you.
Thank you. I hope, I just believe in it. I believe in subtlety. I believe in the way that, when the breeze comes, through a still summer day, you feel it. It's like the little movement of air can be very important in providing some relief and direction and understanding, I guess. And so, as you said, there's all these roles to play. I mean, there really are. Everybody has a job, and it's not the same job. And thank goodness, because we can't have 1,000 people or 1,000,000 people or 1,000,000,000 people doing the same job. We have to figure out what our job is and then do it well and do it consistently.
Wow. To be able to hear or read what other people are saying. And I want to put out an invitation. I think that's a beautiful invitation right there, that if people watch this now or later, like, what is your job? Do you know? Do you know what I mean, I think that's a beautiful invitation to look at. And for me, where I went to immediately when you said, like, do our job and do it well. And I thought, like, I'm going to sit with that today, really. Rather than being overwhelmed and lost in the dark, I would really like to, I don't even know what the ending of that sentence, but I want to know what my job is.
I think it's a great, and that job can change, evolve, shift, all these things, but it is really important, to sort of identify, where can I be where is my use? Where can I be of use? What is naturally, instinctively, heartfully true about who I am and where I gravitate toward. And I think if we really spend time coming up with that job description, we'll probably find that we're really capable of participating and feeling engaged and active in a way that's very surprising to us, and will make a difference.
Oh, Maya, I am so grateful to you. I think this has just been an amazing lot, and I'm going to share it with my Simply Celebrate community. And I want to keep this conversation going. I'm so grateful to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. I'm really happy. I wish we could just keep talking and talking all day, but thank you.
And I'm so glad that it finally, the last whole half an hour, I've been able to really hear you well. At first you were cutting out so much. So I'm so grateful that we finally got through technology-wise. So
good.
I love you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sherry.
Okay.
Bye.